a total of 19 Shahed-type drones entered their territory. Preliminarily, only 4 of them were shot down. The rest were likely suppressed by Russian electronic warfare systems. At the same time, it is known that one of the drones managed to fly about 300 kilometers across Poland. However, the official report states that all targets were destroyed, and this was achieved through the efforts of almost the entire eastern NATO air flank, including even an airborne radar reconnaissance aircraft.
The Polish side claims that they shot down everything, and at the same time, even fuel tankers were deployed, for example from the base in Itare, to refuel the fighters in Polish airspace that were involved in repelling the drone attack.
At the same time, the raid did not go unnoticed by civilians. The remains of the downed drone destroyed a residential building. There were also reports of UAVs falling right in the middle of the street. In addition to all this, thousands of people were unable to depart from Polish airports. But even more shocking than the very fact of the attack on NATO is the reaction that followed from both the alliance members and Poland itself. Thus, in the country that essentially became the target of an attack by 24 strike drones, this raid was called a provocation, citing the absence of casualties.
Most likely, we are dealing with a large-scale provocation, but at the same time, we are consulting with our allies, and I am in constant contact with the NATO Secretary General. This is the first time that Russian drones have been shot down over the territory of a NATO country, and therefore all our allies are taking this situation very seriously. We have not recorded any casualties, of course. The search for the downed drones is ongoing.
NATO leadership has also expressed deep concern. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte stated, "The North Atlantic Alliance will defend every inch of its territory. However, a full assessment of the incident is still ongoing." In the US, where consultations began immediately after the drones crossed the border, they have so far decided to remain completely silent in public. However, the main question arises, what was this all about? According to analysts, with such an attack, the Russian Federation was trying to achieve several objectives at once. First, to show Europe what war really is, and that it is much closer than they think. Second, to test how NATO would respond to a possible incursion, particularly in the Suwałki corridor area. Also, a drone attack on Poland should prompt Europe not to be so eager to defend Ukraine's interests in the upcoming negotiations. After all, it is the Europeans today who are opposing the idea of the US and Russia imposing the notion of unconditional concessions on official Kiev. Moreover, analysts believe that if the plan doesn't work, it could be repeated.